All right, good evening. Welcome to the Queen Anne's County Board of Education meeting for February 22nd. Can we rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, first thing on the agenda is approval of the agenda.
Make a motion to approve the agendas in front of us.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, first thing up is information items, capital and non-recurring projects presentation. Sid, is that you, I believe?
Myself and Ms. Cole.
All right, Carla as well.
Yeah, before we,
I don't think it was on the agenda, that's my fault.
no, it's okay, to pursue, I'm sorry,
Okay,
so before you
okay.
start, I want to take a
You're fine.
second. That pursuant to the general provisions of Article 3-305 and 3-104, the Board of Education of Queen Anne's County will meet in a closed session to comply with a specific constitutional, statutory, or judicially imposed requirement that prevents public disclosures about a particular proceeding or matter. We did that before this open session.
Thank you. All right, guys, you're on.
Thank you.
All right, good evening, President Schiffinelli, Dr. Salins, board members. For the record, I'm Sid Pender, Chief Operating Officer.
And I'm Carla Pullen, Facilities Planner.
And we're here before you tonight to present to you our capital and non-reoccurring projects, along with some in-kind projects that we have listed. What we're going to show you tonight has changed already, and I don't want to get in and steal Ms. Pullen's thunder, but we received news around 2 o'clock this afternoon, actually very positive news. So some of the information you see tonight is not fully accurate based upon some of the numbers, but again, this is just giving you kind of a large overview of what projects we're anticipating to take on. You've seen this before, so it's not really something that should strike you as, I've never seen that one before.
All right, we're going to do this. Smells doesn't like me. Let me have this one. Try to reach. All right, we're going to do it the old-fashioned way. So you may recall that I was here back in October to talk to you about our capital improvement plan, and that entails everything that we are requesting from the state for the next 7 years, what our anticipated funding requests will be. For fiscal year 24, we had 3 priorities. We were looking at the Ken Island High School roof replacement. You'll remember that we had bid that, it came in over budget, we needed to go back for additional funding. The second thing we were looking at was for some design funding for Centerville Middle School. The state now participates with some of that planning money, and so we wanted to take full advantage of that. And the third one was the Kennard Elementary School fire alarm replacement. When the state came back to us at their 75% allotments, it was not looking very positive for us. We were getting only a portion of that first priority, Ken Island High School roof. And so some of what you'll see tonight was budgeted around that and looking at the possibility that maybe we would have to move some projects out to next year. The good news that we got today at 2 p.m. is that the state has additional money. The governor has indicated that he wants to put more funding towards school projects, and therefore it appears that we are going to get funding of some sort for all 3 projects. So it's a very good problem to have. However, our numbers are going to look a little bit different when we come back to you in March, because we need to make those updates and we need to make sure that everything goes through at that 90% and then that 100% allocation that the state will be making. So what we're showing here is fiscal year 24 projects. Of course, the Ken Island High School roof replacement. So we have funding coming from the state. We anticipate that it is going to be funded in all, which will be $4.845 million. So the additional request that we are going to be asking from the county is $2.5 million. This is in addition to $2.4 million that they had allotted to us several fiscal years ago for this project. They were kind enough to keep that in reserve for us, and so the 2.5 will bring us up to our 50% mark that we need to match the state funding. The second project we're showing here is the track resurfacing. You may recall that we did the Ken Island High School track resurfacing. in partnership with the county this year. It turned out wonderfully. I think the school, the students are all very appreciative. We'd like to do the same thing at Queen Anne's County High School, and the county is on board with us for that. You know, we've been talking to you in regular increments about the new central office building. We are going to start looking at that construction budget. We are on target for breaking ground about this time next year. We would love to do it earlier if we can, but that will require us to have some construction funding so that we can get this under contract in fiscal year '24. Along with that, we wanted to get some numbers in front of you for technology, which would be replacement of computers, as well as new furniture for the building. We're looking at about $2.5 million for those costs. And then the Centerville Middle School design that I indicated, we weren't sure that this was going to come through. It does appear that although they will not fully fund it, we had asked for 1.8 million, the state is going to come through with just shy of 1.7. So that will get us a really great start, along with the county's commitment of 2.159 million.
So that's, you're talking 4 million for a design.
Yes, yes. So what this will allow us to do, so you may recall that there are plans for a feasibility study as well as ed specs for Centerville Middle School. What we would like to do, and some of that is already funded, is that we're gonna roll that project directly into the design. So the design team for us would start with the ed specs. They're gonna write that recipe, they're gonna take that recipe and then do a feasibility study on whether it's going to be more cost efficient and best for us in long term if we renovate the existing building or if we build new, and what those costs look like. And from there, we roll right into the design process. The reasoning behind that is that the state is now paying for some of this, and we definitely want to take advantage of that.
If we're building new, what's the location?
We believe
Likely,
it
I
would
mean,
be,
that will be a part of the study in and of itself, but likely on the same property behind it.
we know
Solar
that
panels are?
no,
No, like,
behind the bus loop area,
Gotcha.
there's some available space there. At this point, the county does not have any other land set aside for us for a new middle school building.
I mean, they have to do they have to do soil samples and, I mean, they have to do so much. It sounds like it's really easy, but the feasibility in and of itself is very complicated and it's a process. It takes time. It'd be great, because I mean, you know, we likely could predict what it's gonna be based on other projects we've done. But really it's a process, and by law, you kind of have to check the different boxes before you get to the end result.
Exactly.
Right.
And we want to let the process actually
Take place.
Yes,
But I
we
feel
want to
like,
get to
you
the
know,
bottom
with,
of it.
with being able to get additional funding on a quicker timeline, I feel like we're literally probably going to be able to move into that building a whole year earlier than we would have been before. So that's the good news, is that, you know, that's going to impact staff and students in a positive manner a whole year prior to, which is great.
And one of the things that we're working with Dr. Salins to do is to work with the IAC to get some of those conversations started now. The IAC and through the Maryland Stadium Authority have a prescribed amount of money that they set aside based on the numbers that we have used in the past. So it looks like we would probably be eligible for about $2 million from our regular CIP and probably another 1.52 million from the Stadium Authority and the funds that are available there. We're going to need probably $40 million for this building. We're looking at a new building cost and a renovation cost that's going to be very close to $40 million. If you look at $4 million of allotment every year, that's going to take us a long time to get there. We understand that there may be some other channels. We understand that if we get this project on the radar of the state, that maybe we could get some flexibility in that too. So we want to start having those conversations to see where we are with
And I
funding.
feel like they're broadening the spectrum of what they're actually paying for. So before, like, your soft costs were 100% just on the district, and now they're starting to give us some funding towards some of the soft costs, which are your design phase, just like Carla was just sharing. So before, they would never give us money for that, but now we're actually getting some of those monies too. So the overall project being $40 million, if we can get little costs here and there on before the project starts and after, because there's actually stuff, you know, you got to put furniture in a building, you got to have technologies in building and things like that. So if we can get additional funding for some of those soft costs, it's going to ultimately reduce the overall costs to the district, you know, which is a good thing.
So with that, I am going to show you what our fiscal year '25 projects look like. And start out with a caveat that for fiscal year '25, the Kennard Elementary School fire alarm, we had anticipated we would probably have to move this to '25. It now sounds like the state is going to come through with that funding for '24. So we're gonna revise that. What I will say about this is that that number is going to look much, much smaller when it moves to the '24 timeline. We're only anticipating that we're gonna have to add probably another $150,000, $200,000 for that project. So it's not massive in terms of an additional cost for this fiscal year. But that allows us to get it done quicker and probably at a better cost than if we prolong it for another year. So that's one of the changes that you'll see. In fiscal year '25, based on our assessment that we've done of all of our buildings, we are looking at the necessity to replace the roof at Mattapique Elementary School. This is much of the shingled area as well as the low slope modified that we would like to replace and potentially look at going to a metal, just like we are doing at Ken Island High School, a little bit more durable, longer warranty span, especially being right there beside the bay. Queen Anne's County High School fire alarm replacement, that will come into play as well. That's another necessity that is also, we've come to end of useful life. Basically on that system, it's difficult to get parts. Our guys are trying to order off market and we're never in a good situation when we're dealing with life safety. So we want to get that prioritized. And then we're looking at the second half of the new central office construction as part of fiscal year '25. Fiscal year '26, this is where we start to plug in some numbers for Centerville Middle School. Again, we would hope to see those numbers come from both the state and the county, but we'll have more updates for you as we go forward. Probably funding this over a 2 to 3 year period, just to be sure that we have those available amounts. And then along with that, we're gonna try to keep it a lower budget because we have such a high cost and do some HVAC replacement at Kennard Elementary School. Many of our schools have never had full HVAC replacements, so you'll see that from us in the upcoming years as we start to think about HVAC systems now getting to be 20 years old, and we need to get them more modernized. And we just have one on here for fiscal year '27. We know that Mattapique Middle School, after Mattapique Elementary School, is going to need that partial roof replacement, and so we're starting to budget out for that now.
Carla, would we see additional monies in that capital year for the middle school?
Potentially, yes. Depending on where that actually falls, we would again look at 2 to 3 years.
Okay.
So yes, we would want to tag that into '27 and maybe '28.
Okay.
Thanks, Paul. I have just a question about the fire alarm. So we're trying to replace the fire alarm at Kennard and at Queen Anne's County High School?
Yes.
What's the disparity in the monies?
It's actually just an incorrect number that we gave you for Kennard Elementary School, and I double-checked that today. The one that we just went under contract for Churchill Elementary School, we had to approve $203,000, so we had a mistake in that number. It should have been 142 as opposed to the additional number on there, so that's the disparity.
Yeah, but, well, like Kennard's costing us almost 1.5 million, whereas Queen Anne's County is costing us $500,000.
That's where it
Oh,
just
that's
should
what-
have been.
okay.
That's where the mistake that there was an extra digit that we realized after the fact. So again, it will be under $200,000 that we will be
Oh, okay,
asking for the
gotcha.
county when we move that to the '24 budget. Yep, my apologies for the
Oh, I'm sorry,
confusion on that one.
I was a little slow on that one.
Oh, you're good.
And on the final slide, excuse me, we have the non-reoccurring and in-kind projects that we have listed, basically for the next 3 fiscal years. If you recall, last year, we had Queen Anne's County, the county commissioners allotted about $500,000 to mill and repave the Queen Anne's County High School parking lot. That $500,000 will take the entrance and then the teacher's parking lot, and then the parking lot that goes all the way back to the stadium. For FY '24, we're seeking to do the second phase of that. That would be the bus parking lot, and then moving down towards the tennis courts and behind the school where all the CTE programs are. That's about 25 years old or so, last time that had anything done to it. FY '24 also includes the Ken Island High School install and make up air units We have 3 units there that they no longer make parts for, and we do have a matching grant that we were awarded by the State Department to put towards that. So we will be seeking another $85,000 to put towards that matching part of it that we were awarded. Also in FY '24 will be universal pre-K, again, to get the full-day pre-K program up and running. And then, when you look at the other two, FY '24, the Sudlersville Elementary School replacement of playground equipment, and also the Mattapique Elementary replacement of playground tile. We need to have a line item in here each year for these playgrounds, and it's actually interesting. I went back to my notes and started requesting this back in 2018. And this is something that's been kicked down the road, kicked down the road, kicked down the road. Now we're at the point, if you're trying to get pre-K accreditation, are we meeting the guidelines set forth? All of our playgrounds are inspected every year by a certified playground inspector, but there is a life cycle for them. And this is something that's not, it's not a cheap process. I mean, as you can tell, those numbers right there, another year or two, you might as well add another 10, 15, 20% on top of that. So the playground replacement is really an item that we need to have a conversation with the county about, and also maybe non-reoccurring projects with the state. If not, again, we're gonna just keep kicking it down the list. We have in FY '25 Churchill replacement of playground equipment ages 2 to 5, $350,000. Believe it or not, in FY '25 we had the replacement of stadium lights at the high school. Those there are around 30 years old. I believe it was the mid to late 80s they were installed. And one of my biggest fears is we're having a game and we lose lights. We've been replacing the light bulbs, but again, you have a life cycle cost, to put LED lights in there. The county does the same thing with their ballparks. They've just completed quite a few of them. The majority of the cost is gonna be coming from not just the lights, but it's gonna be, putting new poles in there also. So we're gonna present that to the county. And then in FY '25, we would like to do the same, Caroline High School paving and milling, first phase. FY '25, we also have the classroom furniture for $200,000. And then FY '26, we would like to do the stadium lights there, and then keep going with the second phase of the milling and paving at Caroline High School. And then basically the last project we're requesting would be replacement of playground equipment, again, pre-K accreditation at Caroline Elementary School. So what we've tried to do for many years is keep a steady item for the county. I mean, obviously when you start building a new school, it's gonna jump up, 10, 15, 20 million. But some of our in-kind projects that we worked with, we try to keep it steady so that they kind of know what we're coming back with year after year and not a surprise. Of course, can't guarantee you that because you never know what's gonna, malfunction.
And just to clarify,
Yes,
so
ma'am.
like with in-kind, it's really because our stadiums are not just used for Queen Anne's County Public Schools. We have community that use our stadiums for all kinds of things, and Parks and Recs uses our facilities for all kinds of things. And so these are projects that really are more of like a community-based project, because not only are they helping the school district, but they're really helping the community. So I want to make sure that everybody understands why they're considered in kind, because they're not just used by our school district. They really are a community opportunity, to partner with different people in the community.
No, I think the investment the county made with our turf fields shows that they're looking at tournaments and other things in
Yeah,
here
exactly.
with Parks and Rec.
Yeah, we have all kinds of
And
things.
I guess my one concern would be when you do these lights, we can get something that's gonna be standard that, you can replace stuff and not, I mean, it's good to bid it low, but you don't wanna get something that, bulbs come out of China every other day and, something.
I don't know that LED are made anywhere else, are they?
Well, I'm just talking about, it's not something that's standard maybe with Parks and Rec with us or something that's not the
The numbers that we've provided to you for this are from,
standard people.
yes.
I do have a question, though. I know that we had kind of touched on it before when we were talking about when we replaced them somewhere else, didn't we? Did we replaced the lights, last year, or the year before somewhere else, or maybe we just talked about it?
We have replaced, through different grants, that the, electric companies,
Right, so.
have helped out.
Parking
yes.
lights.
So
that's
it's
what I'm
actually
asking. Yes.
interesting you say that, because we did apply for a grant, to help pay for this, and we did not get the grant, so, but we did apply for it. But if you actually look at where you get your charge from the stadium lights is when you first turn them on, basically. After that, it's, you know, it's
So
not
we're
as
paying
extreme.
for the lights, right?
yep.
And so that was the program that I know that a lot of businesses took advantage of, Del Marver had, they just gave you the lights, because it was helping their grid as well, so, okay.
And then also wanted to add that, you know, we've been, received some money for some expansion to pre-K, and we're doing our best to use what monies we can from that to try to put towards, the playground equipment. But it's just more than what we're getting from the state. So we are using some grant monies, but, it's not enough to cover all the costs of the need that's out there. And again, the can's been kicked down a little bit, so we're not in a great, it's, you know, pretty much deferred costs at this point that we're dealing with, yeah.
And if we could get them on a cycle, I'm sorry.
Yeah, on a cycle.
Interesting concept about the in-kind, because the community's using it, because then it feels as if there are some, age-restricted communities, because they're still community, that they may need to be paying some of that APFO monies, that they're not paying. It's something maybe to think about, since it's not just your schools who are taking advantage of the facilities.
I did have a question on one of the items for the new facility. It talks about replacing all of the electrical, computer and furniture. Not everything in this building needs to get pitched, so what are we gonna do with it?
Most likely repurpose to one of our other buildings. So anything that still has some sort of life cycle will either go with us to the new building and/or be repurposed at another facility.
And since the county will own the building when we vacate, some of the stuff they might have in their different senior centers or somewhere might need some of the, things they could redo it with too.
That's a potential, yes.
Any
Thank
other
you.
questions? Thank you.
Nothing else, thanks, guys.
Good information.
Okay, there's no action items on the agenda. Future meeting will be March 1st, for our regular scheduled meeting, right? March 1st?
Correct.
And motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Mr. President, I move that we continue closed session.
Okay, continue, all right.
Return, dude?